Hello, everyone, and welcome to View to an All-Star. And today we have an extra special guest, Lucy Swanston, who is the co-founder and managing director of Nutshell Creative Marketing for 20 plus years. Hard to believe. And Lucy is also the chair of the Royal Mail Strategic Mailing Partnership. Wow, that's sounds incredible to me and
Very
very.
royal, isn't it, Mark?
Yes, very, very regal. I feel like I have royalty on the show today. Lucy, it's an honor and a pleasure to have you here today. I always enjoy seeing you and speaking with you, and thank you for taking some time to join us today.
Thank you for having me, Mark. Looking forward to the chat.
Well, that's great. Lucy, yeah, I do want to talk. There's a lot to talk about what you're doing at Nutshell and the success you've had there. If you don't mind, before we get started, recently you and your team were over at Cannes at an event that was for creatives and you brought print to it as well. I I just find it fascinating because being in the printing industry for my entire career, I've just never associated an event at that location. It's a very romanticized location for me. And like we were talking before, I'm a big fan of the movie To Catch a Thief. And if anyone hasn't seen that original one with Cary Grant and Grace Kelly, I highly recommend it. And a lot of it was filmed at Cannes. So tell me, if you don't mind, what is it like being there? What kind of place is it? What was the event like? It just seems such a glamorous place to hold an event, anything related to creative and print. So I had a little FOMO and a little jealous of you being there, quite honestly. I'd love to hear a little more about it.
Well, first and foremost, Mark, next year you'll have to come and join us. So
Oh, I'd love to.
we'll put that on the list of actions. But to give some background, Cannes Lions is the biggest global advertising festival in the world. It's been running for many, many, many years, and I've travelled over there now for the past 4 years as part of the UK advertising cohort. I'm also part of a group called the UK Advertising Export Group, and they're a brilliant bunch of people whereby we all come together, we go over and we sell our creative and shared knowledge with counterparts around the world. But ultimately, we have started to travel out there, and Royal Mail has been included in that cohort. So we can actually represent the print industry in its entirety because the irony is it's an advertising festival and it's all focused on, or predominantly focused on, digital tech. So this year was the first year that Royal Mail had a presence there, and we got involved in a lot of roundtables where CMOs were interested to learn more about physical media. And then, the opposite side to this is the event wouldn't be able to operate if physical print wasn't in existence. Um, Given the fact that this is, a huge trade show on steroids, but just so happens to be held on the beach or a boat or, a cafe, bar, etc. So highly recommend it in terms of creativity, innovation, looking for new ideas that spark, you know, business ideas that you might want to take back to base. But also, like any event, is to meet the great people that are in it. And then just one huge observation, you might have seen one of my LinkedIn posts that when you walk on the Pinterest stand, that's a huge technology company, and they're asking you to put a sticker over your phone so you're not actually engaging with a digital device while you're walking around their stand. And all of their activations on the stand were physical media type activations. So, for example, there was a whole rack of postcards. You could write a postcard to your pal or your work colleagues, and they'd had a French post box, and then they had lots of activations where you can create your own all stuff that us as a print industry have been doing for years.
Yeah.
But Pinterest were like embracing the physical media side of things, and literally on the side of their or one of the billboards as you walk down onto their beach, it had a big message saying IRL, not URL, or words to that
Mm.
effect. So IRL
Oh, I
being
love that.
in real life and
Yes.
not so. that was a real eye opener for me and thinking, right, we need to get more of the print industry in residence over here so we can really hammer home, what the print industry does and the broad spectrum of channels that we cover, whether it's not just, you regular printed advertising or commercial print, but anything from, labels and packaging and how that can connect to digital and so on and so forth.
Yeah, Lucy, there's so many great points you just brought up in that I wouldn't know where to start. But where I will is one of the things, like in any industry where media that covers it, a lot of times is looking for headlines. And there's always been this print versus digital, this versus that. It's rarely ever a one versus another. It's usually the collaboration and the use of various ways and techniques, especially in creative and marketing, right? And it's almost ironic how someone can use print to promote their digital their digital, right?
Exactly. And
And
it
you
is all
and you
about,
caught that, right? And
yeah.
it's really funny almost in a way and ironic on how that's done. But I'm just glad in general to hear that people are kind of migrating back and understanding the value of the physical being together in real life and the physical media to connect people.
Yeah.
It's
And,
great for me to hear that.
I genuinely feel that we're now entering into a period where physical media is way more valuable because, when you start to think about AI making digital content abundant and it is increasingly more commoditized, then attention becomes harder. There's more noise going online. So that in turn makes you spend more budget. So it becomes a more expensive medium and I'm not saying necessarily less effective, because it brings you back to digital and physical working together. But it is about, no, let me rephrase this. I think the winners are going to be the print companies where their businesses know how to make that combination seamlessly, but most importantly, have the confidence to do so. Because that's what we've stayed in our lane. We've been going for 20 years. There's in excess of 20,000 design agencies in the UK, anything from a freelancer working out their back bedroom right through to, the huge London stroke global agencies and everything in between. And if you don't stay in your lane and you don't have confidence in the channel that you're selling, then it doesn't bode well going forward. And I've always believed that. It's like when we were coming out of COVID and people were saying, well, why would we ever go in the office again? What's going to happen to events, like in-person events? They're just going to die a death because everybody's going to be, doing hybrid working, or they're going to be doing everything on Zoom like we are now. And actually, it's been quite the opposite, quite the opposite. So if you look at the growth areas over here with certain reports, like we look at the Bellwether report and where marketeers are spending their budget, the last 18 months, the events, particularly in person, has grown at least 6% per quarter, where they're diverting their budgets to that. And the same with direct marketing, but it's in the print sense. If you take direct mail as an example, that's the budget for that is growing as well. And you could argue, well, okay, because the cost of direct mailing is going up.
Mm.
But also it's because marketeers are seeing the effectiveness of it and people that are receiving it trust a physical piece of marketing in their hand. They trust meeting a person face to face. And we all know that. Well, we know that from the ALLSTARS group that we've pulled together and how we've
Yep.
all bonded as a community and, enjoy that face to face time together.
Yep, absolutely. And the other thing is, and you talked right around it, is an observation I've made is too many people think that because something new is here, the other one gets completely thrown out, and that rarely, if ever, really happens, right? And so, in the same way that print should never have been even thought about being thrown overboard. Digital won't get thrown overboard in this resurgence of physical media. And I agree with you 100%. It's the people who strike the balance based on their results, they're going to be the winners, right? And certainly brands and marketers are, they have to be results focused.
Yeah.
And maybe one area as in the print community we can get better is to be a little more focused on results for our clients as opposed to the process that we offer to them or the technology we offer to them. That's, I mean, in the end, the people who are paying for this don't really care so much about the process or the technology. They care about the results. That's how they're measured, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, if direct mail and any type of physical media and signage and things like that are what's going to get the results, that's where they're going to spend their money. It's just kind of that, it's that simple. And sometimes we lose that in all of these, AI this and digital that, right?
Mm.
That is
It,
gone. It's all about results always.
it is about results, but it's also us as an industry, and I guess this is where the All Stars community comes in, is that we're responsible, and Cannes Lions is a good example of that, of being out there. We're responsible as an industry for educating those marketers to understand all the different
Yes.
disciplines within physical marketing, and that's what we don't do a brilliant job of, and that we need to do better. And we need to be able to tell the story about why we can do it better and how we can integrate with digital. And it's a conversation that is, I feel like I'm on a long playing record sometimes where we're saying the same thing over and over, but unless we all collectively have one voice to do that, and we almost have this physical renaissance working alongside digital, then it's not going to happen. And being present at global advertising festivals where the biggest spenders are going to be, that's where we should be hanging out.
Yes, exactly. And it's ironic almost. Here we are as an industry play one of the largest roles in all types of communications globally, and we do such a poor job of doing it for ourselves. You
Mm.
would almost think it would be the opposite, but it's not. And so, yeah, you're right. And we need to tell the story, and yes, over and over. I think in part because there's so many new people coming in on the buy side, on the brand side, on the marketing side, younger people, and they haven't been educated about print in the same way that their, parents' generation were, who mostly relied on it. And they've grown up relying on a lot on something different. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, we do have to do some education there. And it is a lot of telling that story. And I agree. We need to start to do a better job as an industry. I think someone like you can be a leader in that. I
Help,
really
Mark.
do. Lucy, I did. You've kind of been talking right into this. Where my next question, and nutshell. First of all, I have my own just very small business now for a year and a half, and I know what it's like and how I feel surviving that first year. But you've done it for 20 years. That alone, to have a business that you started surviving for more than 20 years is an incredible feat. But I mean, let's face it, the reality. You're a creative marketing agency or group or team, and that segment, where it was 20 and 25 years ago, where it is now, has gone through incredible changes. And but yet here you are, and I believe bigger and stronger than ever. Just briefly for the audience, how have you done that?
Mm.
I think it's an amazing story. You might not, I'm sure you're thinking survival many days over those years, right? But there's a lot of glory to what you've done. And so I'd love to hear a little bit about maybe some of the things, your approach to that, and if you can, maybe even a little going forward. Here's what we're doing at Nutshell. That I think that would be an interesting area to hear from you,
Yeah. Oh,
if you don't
thank you,
mind.
Mark. I appreciate your compliments there. It's very kind. We, I did touch on this a little bit, like you say, a minute ago, but I think the reason why we've survived is because we wholeheartedly believe in what we do, and we've stayed in our lane. we've always advocated it, and we've always believed that, you'll go through these up and down turmoils of, the next shiny digital thing coming out and the demise of this and the rise of AI, and you start to figure it all out. And that pattern kind of seems to happen every 5 years or so of something else comes on board. So ultimately, we've stayed in our lane. We design for print. We love physical media in every form. But of course, we've diversified into digital as well because we had to. And as we've been talking, the convergence of the two and digital working with physical go hand in hand. So then why wouldn't we? The other side to that is, I mean, my people here, I think that's a huge part of the Nutshell brand. We're all very similar in culture, in fit, and we're all on the same page. We've all got the same sort of levels of emotional intelligence, and we come together. And I think the customers see that as well. They always say, "Oh, you're all very similar. You're all got a certain way about you at Nutshell." And I think that comes through. I mean, a lot of our customers that, were with us 20 years ago are still with us now in various capacities, whether they've, still at the same organization or they've moved on. We're still all connected. But there's been a few rocky roads. We won't dwell too much on COVID, but there was a time when I was sitting with my head in my hands during that time.
Mhm.
A lot of the work that we used to do at the time was in food and beverage and sport and leisure. So consequently, the taps were turned off literally overnight, and we had to look at what the plan was going to be. And the plan is that we then set up like a specialist, what we call a specialist trade services division, where using our expertise and marketing knowledge that was gained over those, well, 15 years in the business, but since I started my career 30 odd years ago, which communities can we really add value to? And it was the print community. So we started partnering with print service providers to support them in their marketing. We'd go on joint pitches together. So we'd do the creative, they'd do the production of the data of the manufacturing. And then we started to work with in more volume, started to work with other companies in the supply chain, so like the OEMs, the paper merchants, the technology providers.
Mm.
So they're a huge core part of our customer base now, and probably why we get involved with things like ALLSTARs, because that's pretty much the manufacturing industry side that we hang out in. And now we do, everything from executing an event and doing the pre, during, and post-show marketing for them, right through to building a, full-blown C-event registration platform, or, a bespoke development on a WordPress site. So it really is full service. We don't do a lot in the SEO space, for example, but we pretty much cover all bases, and that seems to be what the marketing departments want
Yes,
now. You ask like our
yes,
biggest clients, they don't want to be going to, because they're so busy and time poor, they don't want to be going to 5 or 6 different agencies to do different things.
right.
So I think being a specialist in a sector is probably what carried us through.
Yeah, and that takes I love hearing the stories about what happened when a big storm came. In this case, of course, COVID and the lockdowns, and you're right, the marketing and print faucets were some of the first ones that were completely shut off to zero. I just remember some of those phone calls I was making to people, and they said, "Mark, the plant is silent right now."
Mm,
Never has been, right? And those were some scary times. But those who had the discipline to say, okay, Let's form a plan. Here's our plan to survive. Here's what we're going to do. And then they execute it. Those are the ones who made it through well. That takes corporate and individual discipline to be able to do that. I'm sure you got a bit of that from your early years in ballet. We're talking,
Something
but
like
seriously,
that.
yeah, that's that builds that type of character and the ability to overcome those challenges. And not everybody made it through that, and not everybody had a plan, and some people just went by the wayside, and some tried too many things that didn't make sense. But I've always believed that if you're trying to lead your clients into a way of doing business and thinking, the best way to do, or at least the best way to start, is to be doing it yourself. And when I
Precisely.
listened to what you just told me, that's what I thought. Okay, you're doing it as Nutshell. So
Mm.
people will see that and they're going to believe that you are in a better position to help them do the same if you're doing it yourself. And that's, I don't think that's anything that's taught. I think that's instinctive, good business instincts, knowledge, and understanding that if I'm going to relate to the customer, maybe I should be doing some of these things as well too.
Yeah, that's so true. And we have done exactly that. So I can confidently say, if we're um, launching a new product or we're helping clients develop an event and looking at their pre, during, and post-show marketing follow-up for the event, we've actually tried and tested it ourselves.
Yeah, that's so credibility is almost everything, and especially with the movement back to in real life and physical media and authenticity, and people just having enough of the artificial stuff, right? And that goes a long way when they see you are authentically doing, staying in your lane, believing in what you do, expert at what you do. I think that's going to attract the right people, right? And I mean, let's face it, there's a big world out there. We don't need to do business with everyone, and it's
No,
nice when you can
exactly.
attract the people that are the best fit for you. And I think Nutshell, I'm sure that's one of the reasons that you've done so well through
Oh,
these years. So, Lucy, last area I wanted to talk to you about, and you mentioned it a few times already, is about being an all-star. And I know how you feel, and it's both a fun and an honor at the same time. And I was so happy to see one of the photos that I took. I think with your camera or Chris, I can't remember the two of you from behind with your uniforms on. And that first day was so exciting when we were all at Printing United. Just tell me your thoughts about it, and does your audience kind of get it? And as far as just the whole Printing United story as well too, and how has that become part of Nutshell, and what is it, and how about for you as well, Lucy, as an individual?
well, for me, I'll start with for me as an individual, a huge ad. Anybody who knows me, I love like a community. I love a get together, and some could argue, I do like a bit of a party, but there there is strategic thought that comes with that because innovation happens when people come together and they meet. It's a meeting of minds, and the team that Amanda and Nicole have assembled now is so diverse and so incredibly, um, they're all so incredibly passionate about their respective disciplines. When we all come together, you're
Mhm.
constantly learning about stuff that you wouldn't already let, but we can amplify that message to our network because our network wouldn't necessarily know about something that I would be usually talking about. So that
Exactly.
amalgamation and the coming together, it's no different to what I was just talking about and being in cans. Like if you're not on the stage, then you know, you're not going to be able to spread the word, are you? You're not going to be able to have the performance. And how this has been engineered with All Stars and that collaborative meeting of minds it was just a genius idea. It was so good. The fact that we're now a community and we've all come together is even better. But ultimately, relationships do drive business. the amount of look at you, and if you and I hadn't have met, we wouldn't have started using, the printers in Vegas. I was chatting to Colin this morning. He's just recommended another supplier in Glasgow. And they're just like simple things that I'm suggesting. But when you really start to get to the nub of what everybody else is doing and how you can collaborate together, how we can spread the word collectively into the print industry, it's just so exciting, like so exciting. And that accelerates progress when we come together and we do have that amplification. So I think I've covered that all there, haven't I? Not just about me, just about what all stars, yeah, what all stars means to others. Hopefully what they see, and now this is the second year running, that they will see an approachable community where they can go, oh, yeah, I can speak to Lucy about creativity, or I can speak to Chris about technology and workflows.
Yes,
And they've
or
got
or
people.
each other. If somebody brings up the topic, then we can quickly say, speak to Chris about this, speak to Lucy about that,
Exactly.
right? Yes, here's
Yeah.
who it is on our all-star team. Here's the person whose business is involved in that. And I love what you said. And I think one of the things that is kind of underrated, almost or almost unspoken, is how quickly the guard came down amongst all of us, right? You bring a
Yeah.
bunch of kind of type A successful people together and tell them you're a team now, it typically it doesn't automatically happen, right? And people are used to driving themselves, right? You have your own, you're a business leader, an entrepreneur. That's more or less how you got to where you're at. And you build a team, but still there's that drive that everyone has as individuals. But I was amazed how quickly the guard came down because each of us knew some of the other people, but I don't think anyone really knew everyone.
No,
So
we didn't.
we were mostly meeting new people and we just got on real quick, really
Yeah.
very quickly.
Awesome.
And it was a lot of fun. And I think it's a great story. You're right. I think, of course, I agree. It was a brilliant plan from Amanda and Nicole, and getting better even as we go forward. I love it because I hope you're right, and I think you are, that how the industry should see it. This is not just something that's done for just for the fun of it. There's a lot of thought behind this, and
Mm,
if the industry is converging, if this is a group that kind of represents that, because as we all pull together, it's reflecting of just what's happening in the industry and
mm,
how Printing United Alliance is saying, okay, we're doing something and providing this group to our membership as a resource, as an example, as something to see and feel and touch and reach and speak to these people about convergence. And I don't know about for you, but for me in my business, that's what it's almost all about. People
mm,
just want to know one way or another, how can I start doing this? How can I be better at what I have right now? Tell me about this market that I'd love to learn more about and get into, right? And when those things start happening, that's exciting. And going back to the Cannes Festival, that's to me, it's exciting. I know it's been going on for a while, but I just got a sense it must have been a little different this year.
mm. It was. And you're going to have to come next year, Mark.
Oh, that's the best. That's the best offer and invitation I've had in a long time. I don't know how we go about that. I'll talk to you about that for sure. But I could just tell you I would love to do that, and because I always thought of the film festival, such a glamorous place for something like that, and to think of print on the same stage in the same location is just very exciting to me. So.
Yeah.
Lucy, thank you so much for sharing your time, your charm, your expertise, and I think you truly have a vision in this business that a lot of people should be taking to heart because you're right at that front line with clients, all about marketing, which is what drives what all of these segments do within print, whether it's signage, whether it's collateral, whether it's package. It doesn't matter. It all ties together. Everybody's starting to really understand that now. And it really works backwards from the brands and the creatives back towards print. And you're right there in the front line. You have a great vision. I just love listening to how you approach this. And I think anyone who's coming to Printing United this year, make sure you find Lucy,
Oh,
because she's one of the more fascinating and enjoyable people to talk to. And yeah, we do like to have a good time too. So I'm sure there'll be some opportunities after hours to all get to know each other as well. So, Lucy, thank you again. I've completely enjoyed spending time with you, and I really look forward to seeing you in Las Vegas this year.
same. And thank you for having me. See you in Vegas.